Welcome to the show, everybody. It is a very big day here for us at Blank Hands. Now, I'm Chris Slight. I'm the community manager, and I'm not going to take up too much of your time right here because you may have seen it already, but we've got something very cool for you. Let's get into it right now.
I was expecting you. These uncertain times, good for witches' business. People come to Naga with gold, asking about the future. Same people divided over diamonds, ambition, and power. All meaningless when destruction comes. And it came. 25 years ago, when Hauke the Devourer invaded Tormentosia, the nations fell one by one until the last 6 tribes united. Hedonists brought what they love, money. The lands were tamed by saw monsters' beasts. Nosmerians calculated the secret formula, and skinned dwarves brought it to life. While genetics muscles kept mutagens pumping, the children of the source awakened the heart of the machine. This is how Ultracore was born. A miracle that protects us from Sorgo's wrath. That's the past. The future is for you to forge. You can reclaim the vivid lands and restore their former glory. Unite the fallen nations under the bright light of Mother Core. Yuppie Naga now. The future was foretold. No returns.
Oh my, it was a trailer. It was a statement of intent. It was a beautiful thing. And I am joined by the co-founders of Blank Hands. We have Marcus, we have Renee, we have Hauke. Gentlemen, welcome in. Would you like to introduce yourselves and what you do, starting with Renee?
Hey folks, my name is Renee. I'm the executive producer of Blank Hands. So nice to meet you all.
Marcus.
My name is Marcus and I'm responsible for publishing. Hello.
And Hauke, if they don't know you, let them know.
Yeah, I'm Hauke. I'm creative director and working on Coreborn right now.
So that was the very first look at the world of Coreborn, Nations of the Ultracore. I mean, Hauke, this has got to be an exciting day for you, right? Like, this has been a long time in the making, and here we are now.
Yeah, I think it hasn't fully set in yet. Like, the realization that one of the worlds that I came up with over the years is actually becoming this big. Even when we first spoke about it, I think we generally just talked about, hey, it could be this universe or that universe. And when we decided on this universe, the Ultracore Coreborn universe, I was kind of excited because it was at that time my favorite and it still is. But yeah, it is amazing to see it come together, especially so many people working on it and liking it as much as I did back then.
Yeah, man, it's a very exciting time. So I have another announcement for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's smooth. It's a smooth transition. I didn't mess it up. We have an exciting thing for you on top of what you just saw. It's a deeper look into what you just saw in the trailer. We have a comic book available for you for free to download right now. Coreborn.gg. Head there. You can download it. Now, Renee, Marcus, this has been a whole thing that has been coming together for quite a while now. And something I wanted to discuss, like, Marcus, how did this comic book come together? Like, and the trailer and something else that we're going to talk about in a minute. But how did this all come together on your guys' side? Like, what was the initial thoughts of like why we're doing a comic book and stuff like that?
Yeah, essentially pretty easy. The Coreborn universe is quite well known in German-speaking countries, but not really in English-speaking and globally. So we thought there is content that we need to let everyone experience the humorous and awkward world of Coreborn, and therefore we basically said we wanted to create 3 things. One is the animated trailer that you've seen. One is the comic book that you just mentioned, and the last thing is, I don't know if I can spoil it at this point in time, but I think you will talk about it later. So
will.
there's a third piece, and all of these have the main goal to basically establish the world, make people familiar with the world, and just transfer the love that we have for Coreborn and the world to the people that watch these things.
Yeah, and it's the thing I find so cool about it is just a really exciting kind of transmedia event where we've just got a bunch of stuff coming at people. And I've said it at the beginning, I say it again. To me, it's a statement of intent. It's like, here we are, Coreborn is out into the world, and it's just the beginning. But speaking of the beginnings, Renee, I wanted to talk to you about how you guys all came together. Like, how did the three of you come together to form the company that now over 30 of us are all a part of? How did this begin?
Oh, it all began with Marcus, because he was a little bit bored of only being the one making others successful, and had the long dream of producing his own game. And Marcus and I worked together before, so we know each other for a while already. And so he reached out to me and asked, like, hey, I have this idea on building a game, and I'm looking for someone helping me to build a game. And as I'm doing this now already for 20 years, it was also obvious to me what he's asking for. And so we're sitting together, and we both agreed, like, okay, now we need someone creative with us today as to actually help us to build something that is unique, that's cool. And we were directly thinking of Hauke. And so Marcus took a similar approach, reaching out to Hauke, like, hey, Hauke, I have this idea and I'm looking for someone. Do you might know someone who could help? And I mean, Hauke was smart enough to actually directly understand what we are aiming for.
I mean, after I wondered why that number isn't blocked.
Yeah, you saw the bait being put down. It was like, do you know anyone that has like this cool?
I was not too surprised when like a week later I was asked, because also the person that was asked for was just, I actually asked other people, but everyone was like, yeah, like, I remember you met the other Marcus that we met at Gamescom. I asked him and he was like, dude, they're asking you. Like, this is just you. He describes you and that makes you go around ask for you.
And then the rest,
Maybe.
The rest was history, right? I mean, we're here now. Like I said, we've got over 30 people working on this vision, and stepping aside from all the madness of putting together this video game, which, trust me, there's a lot of madness putting together a video game. Turns out, if you didn't already know, craziness. But stepping aside from all of that, Hauke, when you were kind of first coming up with the idea for the P&P that people, will probably be aware of from Rocket Beans in Germany, the Ultracore pen and paper show that people are aware of, this has really got to be like a kind of dream come true almost moment that we're here and this game kind of exists and stuff. How does that feel?
I think I already said it in the intro a little bit, that generally it takes a while to really sink in that this is happening. I think that's the only part that I'm very generally not super hardcore excited and get nervous about things. And I think I'm not getting too nervous about the idea of sharing this world with more people, because I haven't fully understood yet that that's actually happening. And mostly when I share that with friends or my partner, for example, she is always like, so you it comes out of your mind that this guy exists? I'm like, yeah, kind of. That's like my job. That is so cool. It's like the coolest thing ever. And when we're playing and someone does something and she's like, so did you come up with that? I mean, yeah, actually that dinosaur, I gave him a name and stuff. And it blows her mind. And it just became such normal business now, because so many people share this world and everyone in the team is participating so much, that I don't have this strong feeling of this is all mine and we are bringing to life what I imagined. It's more of I put seed in the right soil. And now it's like blooming to be something that is bigger than I could have ever imagined. And I'm very aware how cheesy that sounds, but that is what it feels like. I cannot underappreciate how much people put effort and time into this, and that this game already is something that I could have never imagined.
Yeah, it's so this is at this point, one thing I do definitely want to do, and I know we'll all definitely want to do, is give a shout out and a thank you to all of the team that are working on this, because honestly, it's one of the best. Like, I joined this company in September, and it's already one of the best jobs I've had, and getting to work with this team has been so much fun. And like and that's not just me saying it because my 3 bosses are here, but
One of the, what does that mean? Sorry.
the best company I have. Sorry, I've got it on a bit of paper here, Marcus. The best company, no, right? But in all seriousness, one of the best companies I've ever worked with, and the amount of work that the entire team has put into this, particularly, like, I know we've discussed this between us, Hauke, in another video that people will see soon, but just over the last month, the amount of work that's gone into this, the amount this game has progressed has been crazy, and a lot of that is down to the talent and the imagination and hard work of the team that we have. So I just wanted to give a big congratulations to the team who are hopefully watching this right now. And yeah, just like, here we are, right? Like, we're at the beginning. And also, Marcus mentioned another thing, and I mentioned another thing, because we talked about the pen and paper, and let me tell you, there's a pen and paper available right now. This is a thing people have been requesting, because you talked about it in a Rocket Beans show, Hauke. And so people in the Discord who are watching right now have been asking me since day one of me starting this job. It's been a thing of like, so when's the pen and paper coming out? The Ultracore, like when's that coming out?
I was told to mention it.
Don't blame him.
It was a big troll that I had thought about, that Hauke could mention that, and Chris would always have to answer the
I would have to answer the question. It almost went
German also.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
This is the other thing, like, because I knew it was coming, I was always like, I should put it in the FAQ section, but like, I know it is coming, so it's like, here we are right now. And I would tell you this, we got a Q&A section coming up in a minute. One of the questions is, when is the pen and paper coming? And consider that answered right now. It is available. You can download it. It's free. It is amazing. Like, I if anyone's used any of the books you get, like, be that from Wizards, be that from whoever, they are very high quality. This is of an extremely high quality. Like, it's free, and it also comes with a package that streamers can use, and it comes with like character tokens and all this stuff, and you can just go and get that right now. A big shout out.
It's almost as if we play this stuff ourselves.
It's like we know and what would work well. Yeah. Well, this is one thing I was gonna say, Hauke. Like, the artwork's amazing, and like the whole game's amazing. Like, how did all of this come together, like, on your side? Like, what was the, like, also, it's got to be really cool to have a full game module available that's based on the world that you came up with, right? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, super cool. And also here, I definitely have to stress, I did not write any of that, basically. There's very few things where I had to give feedback. Luckily, we have an incredible author, Snow, big shout out to him, and also my co-author Kaylee. I cannot stress enough how much she put in that and how much work the publishing team did on this. I basically jumped in from time to time and never had to criticize anything, because this thing looked great from the beginning and got better and better. And like, the concept art in there is amazing, because the concept art team is just absolutely great. We have a lot of different styles that all uniquely work very well in their style together. And I think that shows very much in this document. It is incredibly pretty. The resources are very, very high quality, even by the standards of already outstanding Foundry content that you can find out there. This is cool. And it's done by someone with Snow that understands digital, like pen and paper or Dungeons and Dragons, so damn well, and it shows.
Yep, 100%. It's amazing work. And Kay done amazing work. Kay is a brilliant writer, and it is an honor and a privilege to work with her on all of this stuff. Also, you mentioned the publishing team. I mean, Ash has done amazing work getting this all together. This is me just giving people flowers. We're going to get, I promise I will not just read the whole team list and be like, you are great and you are great. But honestly, the work people have been doing is amazing. And yeah, I love it. Now, what I want to do is move us along, because on the Discord, where you are right now, dear viewer, we have been soliciting for questions. So I have some questions from the community. Now, a lot of these are specific things about the game that we may not be able to answer now. So
I can be very vague. Trust
there
me.
you go. That's what I was hoping for. I was like the good old sort of vague. But
I'll
we'll
find
have
several
answers.
ways to say soon.
Okay.
Doing this for ages, no worries.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions from Shakatai on Discord, who asks they're interested in how the character development is going and what kind of customization will be possible in the future. They know not everything will be possible. We're leaning towards stuff like an alpha or a beta and all that kind of stuff. But they're just interested in if we can elaborate on how we plan to start and where we want to go with character customization. So, who would like to answer that?
I mean, I can go. That's something we can answer. So, when we will release the game for a broader audience, so with probably an early access, what you will be able is to choose between available races and customize them. You will have the possibility to do few customization, be it skin tone, be it eye and hair color, be it different hairstyles, be it different types of your eyes, mouth, nose, a little bit of customization on the body type. And if there are different genders, you can switch between these as well. And the different races have different customization options as well. So yes, there might be things that are only available to Steam Dwarves. There are things that might be only available to the genetics. But this is something that still remains behind the curtain and will be revealed some other time.
Nice. Well, there you go. There was another question from the same person who asked about level progress and progress throughout the game. That's will there be skill trees and points, or is it a learning while doing kind of approach? The more you use it, the better you will be, like Valheim, or can you accelerate the progress with books like Project Zomboid? I suppose they're just looking at if we have an idea at this point of progression and what that's going to look like for your character in the game.
It's so interesting. Whenever we get questions, like whenever a game is mentioned, I realize, I played a few hundred hours of that. I realize what a damn nerd of like survival and simulation games I am. Of course, I played Project Zomboid. So basically, the answer to that has to be incredibly vague. I see where that question is coming from, and I am a huge fan of the more I use something, the better I get approach. I also think that is per se better game design, which is not saying that we can now immediately say that is what we're going to do. There might be a variation of skill trees. There might not be a variation of skill trees. Right now, we don't want to lean too heavy into RPG elements. That is because we don't think they really add to the overall experience that we are outlining, which is a survival game with very fun short-term experiences where I can just jump into something and enjoy it, and a long-term hard character, like hardcore skill tree based character progression is in contrast to that from when I first think about it, which is not saying that we might not end up doing it, because I think this is one of the strongest sectors when it comes to player feedback. Our alpha and beta will show very strongly, is this something that already works as we imagined it, where players do something, they gain progression from doing it, or is it something where we have to give stronger guidance and say, put a point in this, put a point in that? What we can say is that most in our team say, we don't want a character that can just limitless do everything in this game, no matter what, and with the same amount of work can achieve the same skills that everyone else has in every other capacity or every other part of the game. So most likely you will see some form of specialization in your character. If that is what you imagine when it comes to a skill tree, I would highly doubt that, and we will most likely not go as hardcore as Project Zomboid did in the past, even though they changed it. But there will be some form of a specialization, most likely. What that means and in which aspects of a character, I can't answer yet. Sorry.
There you go. Rusty came in and asked about when the PMP is coming out and didn't want to put too much pressure on us, but when is it coming out? And Rusty... Yeah, Rusty, you got it. It's yours. You got it right now. There you go. Answered. But they also asked, difficulty in the video games. Is there going to be difficulty levels? I think I know the answer to that, but what do we think?
I mean, as this is not a single player game, you will not be asked in the beginning like on which difficulty level you want to start, like easy, normal, hardcore. So yes, the world will progress, and right now we try out a little bit on this thing because there are different approaches. Approaches that monsters kind of scale with you, so even that monsters you met in the beginning are still valuable for you, even if you have already spent 100 hours in the game. Or if there's something that monsters get stronger while you explore more of the world, that's something we currently try out, and that's something that we would test for sure with the community and see which of the approach fits better to the game.
Perfect.
I think just to add in adventures, that might be possible that there is adventures, which is instanced experience, where you can say, I want to play this on a certain level of difficulty, but that is just adding to what Renee said. Like still for the survival map and most of the game, it is more based on where you are and it might adjust to you, but there's no easy, hard, anything at the beginning of the game.
Got it. Speaking of the beginning of the game, Buttakex had a question for us saying, how is the game going to start? Which is a very, I don't think we're going to have that, but how will you teach
Sadly, I read that question.
Yeah, I saw that and I thought, I don't think we have the answer to that right now. But they have stuff like, I think a good part of the question that we could potentially speak on now, rather than how is it going to start, we can say, they talked about, will there be differences depending on the starting race chosen? Because we talked about character customization, now races being in the game, because there are many races in the world of Coreborn. Will there be differences depending on the starting race chosen? Have we thought about that yet, or is it kind of still up in the air?
I think we can actually jump back to the question before that, because Marcus generally gives a very good answer as a learning from the prototype. You might have not so seen this, but the quest line we did in the prototype, I think, is one of the biggest learning on how to not do it in our game.
Marcus.
Yeah, exactly. So our prototype was basically starting with leading you to Coreheim and having to do some initial things there, running from A to B to C, a classic, more quest-like scenario. We definitely learned over the course of the last 6 months that this is not how we want the game to work. So it's more that you have like bigger objections that you are basically yourself finding out how to solve them. Could be that you are hungry and have to basically find food. Could be that you want to create something that we call town, etc. So it's really important for us to not go the classic MMO style. And there's many systems in place that I progress you through the game and lead you to different spots or lead you to different gameplay systems and experiences. But that is something that we definitely learned. It won't be a quest-like introduction, but on the other side there will be, I think, and that I think is something that we know at this point in time, there will be a version of a tutorial that gives you the information you need to play the game and everything. And I think that is something that we have to heavily iterate in alpha and beta next year, so that when we actually release into the early access, it is a smooth onboarding experience for the people that are not super used to Coreborn or other survival sandbox experiences at this point in time.
Yeah, awesome. That also, this kind of answers a couple of other questions. I did want to pick up on something from Davininsky in Discord, who said, will there be, that's me pronouncing that name. These are all names that I've read for months and I've never had to say out loud.
Cakes. Like butter cakes, it was like butter cakes.
Yeah. Oh, is it? I went with butter cakes because I knew kek.
I don't want to share the whole fun fact, but your pronunciation is actually where the word comes from. I'll tell you that another time, as I love fun facts.
Sad hawk.
Yeah.
The hawk. It is the hawk.
The hawk.
We're learning things. This is for you, Discord. This is for you. Like, it's just so you know. So they mentioned, will there be animated buildings in the final game? Now, because we posted a video the other day on TikTok and Instagram where we looked at a building that you guys have built together, and there was like a water mill in it. So they referenced and obviously it wasn't. It was made of roof pieces and fence, so it wasn't a working water mill. But they were wondering, is that something that might happen in the future? Like, will they be able to craft like an actual water mill that might work and stuff like that? So is that something we're looking at?
Leveraging your environment as a resource is something we are strongly looking into in several aspects. One of them might be water, another might be weather, day of time, wind, things like that. We are strongly looking into it. We can't promise any of these will make it into alpha or beta, or beta, sorry, but we are strongly looking into it. We are all a big fan of the idea and think it is essential to survival games.
Perfect. Cyraleaf mentioned if the building, because this is where you're getting into nitty gritty here. Will there be building parts that require specific things to work? Think like Valheim's roof requirements, or people really. I knew that water wheel was cool, like when I was making that TikTok, but like people really were like, water wheels, we want it. Like, or they said like all water for a water wheel. Like, so I imagine probably the answer to that will be yes, but just to hear it from you gentlemen.
Yeah, so we are looking into requirements to build things. Also, a little bit similar to what people might know from Valheim with the whole stability requirements. We are looking into that. And then also, yes, there might be things where you can only put certain things on certain places. So that's something we are looking into. We are not there yet. The building system is already nice, and we are putting still a lot of effort into it, but it's still not there where we envision it. And I guess the important part is we don't plan to ship already everything we have in our head. Then with the start of the game, we want to have updates for the game coming in over and over, and not only adding new things, but also revisiting existing features, adding new stuff to them, making them more fun, giving them a new twist, and have people enjoying even existing features in the future over and over again.
Yeah, it was one thing I wanted to point out as well. Like right now we're pre-alpha, so it's like everything's coming together. Also, this game, I mean, you're here in the Discord, you're in the right place. This game's very much going to be a collaborative process, so your feedback will be integral to things we do going forward in the future, but we'll get more into that a bit later. We now have a question that I don't know if we can answer right now, but it comes from Fengoli96, who asks that they know the game's free to play, because I'm pretty sure that's in our FAQ because I rewrote that recently. But will there be any in-game content you have to pay for, like for special game content that impact the actual gameplay, or will it be just for cosmetics? I think at the moment this is probably more of a philosophical question, but what do you guys think?
I mean, that's something we were thinking of from the beginning and made a few clear decisions for us for at least for now, because that's something we want to start with. We don't like FIFA Ultimate Team and all these gambling stuff, so we don't like pack opening events. So that's not something we want to have in our game. And what we like are more approaches like you see with Fortnite or also League of Legends, where it's cosmetics and you spend your money on cosmetics, so that you have I don't know, you think of, I want to dress in a nice little outfit that nobody else has or just a few others have, or you want to have something very nice in your home, that you want to have your Game of Thrones like throne in your little house, and then you can pay for it. But it's nothing which you have to pay for to unlock certain game content.
Got it. Yeah, and HBO, if you want to reach out to get that crossover going, just let us know. Like we'll go get the Iron Throne in the game. But
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll make you a good price.
yeah.
and same for Disney. If someone from Disney is looking at this video, please reach out to me.
Just
you can find me on
Marcus
LinkedIn.
specifically.
I'm super happy to discuss this. It's one of my core objectives.
Yes, please. If I can get a lightsaber, I mean, now we're talking crossover. But I do agree. I very much enjoy a battle pass system and that kind of stuff. So yeah, and again, as we've mentioned before, we are pre-alpha right now. Nothing is really set in stone. Like it's all being worked on. So the game is all coming together. So nothing is a definite promise or anything like that, but I think it's definitely good to let people know, kind of, like I said, philosophically, where we stand on a lot of this stuff right now, where it's kind of like, yeah, we're not, even though I do sometimes enjoy a bit of Madden Ultimate Team, what can I say? But, like, I do agree that it's opening packs kind of sucks, so we're not going down that route. Moving on, we have another question. What will exploring look like? You said there won't be any standard quests, so will we just go out and gather stuff? What can we discover? What and who is... There's a lot. This is a lot of questions, all in one. You've been smart, one of us. You've been smart, but... What will be there? Is there things to kill? Are there NPC communities we can visit? Player communities? So that's a lot in one question, but I think we can get it down to... What will exploring look like? Like, because that's a big part of this game, right? Like I've always said, the build, survive, thrive. Like that's a thing that we're looking for this game. So kind of, yeah, what are we looking at when we go out into the world, and what kind of stuff are we thinking we're going to see there, do we think?
I think you have to think of different aspects. First of all, interesting to tie exploring and quests together, because for me, this is completely different. This is two different aspects of a survival game, unless I discover a quest where I wasn't led to a quest. But like, for example, as Conan does it. But coming back to the question, exploring will look as it does in most other survival games. You gather the resources to be able to survive the environment you're about to explore. And if you do well enough and are prepared well enough, you will be able to explore that until those resources run out. You can go as deep as you want into a cave in Minecraft if you have enough food and enough place in your inventory so that you can keep stacking of your life and can fill your inventory until the point where you have to head back out. And it will be kind of the same. It's management of what do I bring. And I keep saying this in basically every presentation. A good survival game hands me a problem, and it is up to me to come up with a solution. And if the problem is I haven't seen everything on this map, then I ask you to come up with a good solution to do that, which might be run faster, travel further, be prepared to travel further through more resources, or fight off the monsters that attack you better, or like fight the environment better. On the other end, though, there might not be quests, but there is something that we call an event system, which is something that asks you to do specific tasks in specific locations on a regular basis, not the same one immediately again. But these might be linked to each other and invite you to go to specific places. And interestingly, and even though I criticized the question in the first place, it is very well said, because the last part was, I think, is there player communities we can visit? And there is. And these player communities are neatly tied into the idea of exploring the world, adventures, and the survival map. So that basically this will ask you at some point, through handing you a problem where the solution might be lying somewhere on the map you haven't been to yet. And it will just say, how about you kill a bandit? And you don't know where a bandit is, so you have to find a bandit. You look around until you find them, you kill one, and then that problem is solved. Or it says, find a crystal from a specific adventure in a different part of the map, and then I look for that part of the map, I find that adventure, I kill that, or kill that monster, or do the trade that gives me that crystal. So that, I hope that answered all of them vaguely, at least.
I think so. I think I did a very good job. We have another couple of questions, but I think we kind of answered them. Semi-automatic Aqua, going back to the topic of quest, would you consider Valheim to have standard traditional classic quests? Which I guess is trying to tease out what our opinions are on what a classic standard quest is. Because... I mean, I've played quite a lot of Valheim. I'd say there's definitely stuff you got to do. Like, it's definitely...
I mean, the early beginning is just standard repeat, like standard quests.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't do this thing, the first boss will not show up.
Yeah. So,
but we could also use the excuse that that's part of a tutorial, and a tutorial calling a tutorial a quest line is kind of unfair to most games. And I would not use it against Valheim that it designed a tutorial that at least everyone here remembers, potentially.
Yep.
I honestly think it's a smarter approach at a tutorial to just break it up and make it more fitting to a survival game. So I would not say it's a quest, but neither would I say it's, if it is, that it's a bad quest design for a survival game. Actually, it's a pretty good tutorial.
It's a very good tutorial. Very good game to anyone from Valheim who may be in the Discord.
Yeah,
and watching
Valheim is
this.
wonderful.
Yeah. Brilliant game. And we have one final one that I think we kind of spoke on already from one of us asking, are races going to be more than cosmetic? Yeah, I think we did touch on this earlier.
I think I cut that one off.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Well, let's not.
Through saying, let's go back to the other one. But
yeah.
Does anyone else want to answer that? The answer will be incredibly vague, I think.
There you go. You'll find out more in the future. There you go.
Yeah,
I think that answers that.
Most likely not be completely only cosmetic, but it will not at all represent what someone that plays MMOs, for example, will expect.
I mean, it's something we've spoken about before, but the game is not an MMO.
Yeah.
So to anyone still wondering if the game is going to be an MMO, it's not. It is a social survival sandbox game. And yeah, speaking of which, I mean, people, you didn't think you were going to come all the way here and see some things without seeing a little bit of gameplay. I mean, that we're not going to be that cruel to you. We're not going to leave you. Now, if you've been following on TikTok or if you've been following on Instagram, you've probably seen a bit of gameplay already. Because this is the interesting thing. We're kind of like, oh, you know, we might. What about gameplay? And it's like, you know what? There's actually quite a lot out there already. So if you know where to look, but for you right here, right now, we got a little gameplay playthrough with Hauke that we're gonna go through now. So take it away.
Hello everyone. I have the honor to present the current alpha of our game to you guys. I will do some repetitive narration of what's going on, but I'll do my best to basically give a simple presentation of what we've achieved so far, what we've been working on, and I hope you are as excited as I am about most of the features. I will sometimes compare to survival games that you might or might have not played. If you haven't, reach out to Discord maybe. Maybe someone there can help you a little bit. I did my best to make audio as comfortable as possible. It might sometimes be a little too quiet. You might not hear the atmosphere super loud right now. There's some birds chirping and things, but I'll do my very best. Let's jump right into it. This is actually not my first presentation, as I have already done this several times to investors, other people involved in the project, but I'll do my best. What you're seeing is not the most current state of the game, especially visually. It is the most stable one that we produced very recently for the purpose of this presentation and presenting to other outlets. You will potentially see at least one crash later, because for some reason only I am able to reproduce this crash very consistently under very specific conditions. Maybe Chris will edit it out. Other than that, be prepared for potential bugs, but maybe there will not be a single one. So, as a little introduction, what you are seeing is the alpha of our game with the visuals. You will see some of the assets, for example, as these fields, which are placeholder assets, or the grass, which is actually the already existing asset. You see our character, which is currently still naked. You might, though, see some footage within even this presentation or in the next days, where you can see first outfits, some things coming in. I just chose to present on our Asian server, as I am located in Asia, and also the one with the most stable build. And I think I can finally actually jump into it and just do the regular presentation. With the art style, we aimed for something that we call simplified realism. You might have seen some leftovers or some things of a more cartoony art style. I think some of it is still representative of that, especially the Oropala once we run into these little guys. Also, why I start talking, I'll also actually start gathering a little bit and experience some lag. Yeah. So the art style is currently still in development. It will be driven more towards something that is a little cozy, yet not super playful or even comic-y. I'll point out when we see things that are more in the art style that we're aiming for, and some of the things that are a little older. Also important, I know this might be hard to abstract sometimes, but a lot of the decisions currently are only for the purpose of testing. For example, picking up twigs from the ground I cannot tell you that there will be twigs on the ground, but what I can tell you is it will not be that you click something and just pops up and you pick it up by walking over it. There will be something connected to it. But that's also actually finally jumping into it. You might see that there's a purple effect starting to grow on me and that I'm starting to lose health at the bottom left corner, which indicates that I'm already starving. This is, in its basics, a survival game. And I'm gonna explain all three main aspects of our game to you in this presentation. Number 1 is survival, number 2 is the social hub, and number 3 is adventures. You will see survival and the social hub today. The adventures I can only explain as we are internally testing them. There's nothing to present yet. I'll give a little example of what adventures are though. So as you saw, I actually ate a mushroom, I dragged it into my quick slot, number 1, and now I think let's get into crafting. As there is crafting, there is general survival mechanisms, there already is a crafting menu, there already is icons in it, and I have to craft a wooden sword. I'll actually do that right now. Of course, all this is placeholder stuff, we're not 100% sure. Actually, I'll stop saying that. Just assume that whenever something is triggering the need to say, I don't really like this visually, that is because it is a placeholder, most likely. Still, we'll gladly answer all the questions that come up from this presentation. So, I'll just move over here to show you some of the weather effects we already have in game. And now I can finally get a little nitty-gritty with the details. So, as you saw, I already gathered some of the things, and these things are already biome based. You might see that these golden fields down there, that's the fields/grasslands biome. This is the forest biome. There is a mountains biome. All these like snowy mountains you see in the back. We'll visit them later potentially. And there is also a hills biome that we might visit today. Maybe that's something for another day. There is already one Oropala, one of the enemies in our game. That is actually one of the ones that will get a rework. It is a little too comic-y. I will actually fight this guy a little later. Let's first get into the weather. Also, these guys are a little harder to fight, so yeah. Weather. Weather is right now, and you'll start a little, like see a little rain starting. I'll be silent so that you hear the atmosphere for a second. Ah, nice. Like some thunder roaring and things like that. So basically, weather right now is solely visual. It is only in the game to show the general idea. Later though, of course, in a survival game, we want this to interact with the environment. We want this to feel as if, hey, I got wet from weather. I'll actually walk out of the rain because I don't want to too long have the visual, like the audio background of it running. So basically, weather will at some point be something that you have to pay attention to. Of course, you'll get a status effect. You got wet or you are soaked or whatever. And that makes you get cold. That makes you have to heat yourself up. All the general survival mechanisms that come with it. But we also want you to be able to maybe leverage weather when it comes to your gameplay mechanisms. Maybe you want to have a water wheel or a water tank that fills up over time. Things like that. There's also the possibility that other weather effects play a role. Or actually, the Oropala wandered away, so you look for another one, which gives me time to talk about weather some more. Maybe sunshine is an important resource where it comes to drying things. Maybe snow is all these things, as in most survival games. Whoever has played Valheim has mechanics like that. If you've played Conan, where there's a storm system, if you've played most of these survival games, weather will have an impact on the way that you have to survive. And your environment is, as in most other survival games, is your enemy. And I think your environment is generally, and here is a big distinction between a lot of other genres, a good survival game basically hands you a problem and the solution is up to you. And in our case, that problem might be that you are getting wet from the rain, or that you are getting cold, or that anything happens that is influenced by weather or by you getting hungry or something like that. And we will then basically allow you to find your own solution to that. Maybe it is building shelter, because, for example, you've seen it in one of the videos on our TikTok. If you haven't, please check out TikTok right now, because it actually makes sense to see all these videos, or maybe later. Maybe listen to me first and then check it out. I'll actually gather some twig while we're running around here looking for an Oropala. Also, you might be wondering why there is so little enemies. That is, of course, testing purposes. NPC are quite heavy on the performance, and that's why we don't spawn that like a gigantic abundance. Actually, we saw one in the rain. I might want to run back there. But let's get into the details on weather and like the environment again. So basically, what you will experience is that these problems handed to you by your surroundings is something that you have to creatively solve by building shelter, building better weapons, or building things like that. And this idea of creative problem solving is something that will, there's one, that will actually come back to later. For now, though, let me show you our fighting system. You might have seen that I already crafted a cool sword. I did it through our crafting menu. This is the wooden training sword that I have right now. Already pretty cool. And you might have seen that when I pull it out, I get slower. We want this to feel a little, of course, this is still in testing. This weapon should feel heavy. Still, you are a hedonist. This is a weapon that you are familiar with. And so you are quite artful in wielding it. I'll actually now only press the left button, repetitive, and you'll see that the system is simple from its input, but there is already some detail to it that we've actually even invested more thought into in our current alpha or in our current internal versions. So only left click, normal, normal, a third normal, and the last one is a stab finisher. Then I can right click once, which is just a simple attack. I can charge right click and do an actual combo attack. I can also combine different attacks, like left click, right click, left click, right click. I can also just do a simple right click and then immediately go into a left click motion and finish those off like that. And of course there is dodge rolls, as these enemies, and I'll actually show you fighting that guy now, actually do charged attacks which sometimes do more damage, sometimes are just an indicator. Like this is one of his attacks. Right now we made them very simple. You'll later see enemies that are a lot harder to fight already. And also, not all animations are in place yet. This is very placeholdery when it comes to fighting animations. I can actually even stagger them if I finish that. And perfect, I got the loot I needed. Because what I wanted from this guy is Oropala resin. And I hope you get an idea of the fighting system. We want something that feels fun through the dodge rolls. We want weapons to feel unique. Also, there's been a lot of questions on, is fighting just this? We see fighting as something that should be ideally very social. So there is plans for something we call a gimmick system, where, for example, additionally to my weapon, I can have like something that if you've played Genshin Impact, where you have like an element, fire or water, in our case also electricity, maybe echo/music could be something like that, where, for example, someone throws down fire onto the ground, and if I then do one of these attacks, I actually throw that fire around and throw it on all enemies around myself. So, but let's get back to crafting, because what I want to show you next is, I want to show you our idea for how the crafting system works, or how gathering works, and then in the next step, finally building, which is one of the most exciting things that we come up with so far. Let me just check the time. 10 minutes. I'm actually pretty good on time. I'm planning to do 20, maybe we'll end up 30, but yeah. So what I need is the Oropala resin, because we don't want you to just go to, even in the earlier stages, one biome, gather wood, build all the wood stuff, next step. We want you to intertwine things. So in this case, you actually have to build that sword, then you have to get that resin from fighting an enemy, then you have to go get the wood, which mostly grows in forests, and we need to get linen, which is these little blue flowers that grow mostly in the fields biome. This feels very empty right now. This is, as you have imagined, this is placeholder grass or placeholder wheat. We've not really worked much on this environment yet. We will very soon though. Actually, we've already released, I think, some screenshots where you might see the visually overhauled wheat, where you have seen this zone being a little prettier. This is though the whole survival map, and maybe that is a question that people might ask. This survival map you will share with about 200 total players, which is just a ballpark number, just a guess, which means that about, from experience, 20 live players can be on this map at the same time. I know your instinct is screaming, there's like a lot of questions around that, and that is a lot up to testing. We think that's a pretty good number, because this map, just to give you a vague idea of how big it is, the current survival map is about a third of the Skyrim map, which means that in this case, walking up to the ocean, like from the ocean over there, which is in that direction, all the way to the limits of the map over there, would be about 15 to 17 minutes of just pure walking. And all the way from that area, which is Piper's Whistle, we're going to visit that little town later, to the mountains that limit the map, all the way behind this forest, that would be about 11 minutes of walking. So a lot of space for 20 players. I know there will be a lot of questions. Gladly ask them. We'll gladly do another live stream or another Q&A session, because I can only imagine how many questions will come up after this presentation. But let's get into actually crafting our first axe. I think we have to make some linen. Did I gather enough? Yeah, I did. We got enough fiber, so I can actually now make this axe. And if we're lucky, we finally reproduce a bug that I found once. I was never able to reproduce. Gosh, damn, we weren't. Well, what a shame. It runs way too smoothly. But I'll actually start gathering this tree now. You see it's getting night, by the way. Oh, also in the background. That's the placeholder for Megalos. The German viewers might be familiar with the dinosaur, because that's where the lithical plains will finally be, next to Ambros, the zone. He's looking over the mountain. As I said, just a placeholder for now, but super cool to see. That's the beam of the Ultracore in Coreheim. We're going to visit Coreheim today and listen to the cool music there. You might have also heard the music in the background. We're soon going to share that music, so it actually is available. But gathering. If you have seen these super, super early presentations where I talked about the idea of gathering not being too boring. Right now, it's solely smashing these trees, hammering into them. Also, reminder, we've only been working on this for 5 months. And if your instinct is, I have seen versions that are far worse, no, you're wrong. You are wrong. This is not my first alpha, and our feedback has been really good so far. We've made a lot of great progress. I'm super proud of the team. But coming back to the actual thing, right now it's basically only right-clicking or left-clicking and smashing the tree. Our idea later, though, will be that... Oh, maybe I should have not thrown it into the... Well, let's pick another one. Our idea later, though, will be that we want this to be a little more fun, a little more interactive. Gathering should be something that you can do by basically turning off your brain, just smashing one button. But let's say we want something where, as an example, you left click and then a root pops up somewhere. And if you then overhead chop that root, then you can actually already make more damage, or you get extra loot from it. It is more of a little make things more interesting. We don't want you to run around and just do the same click again and again and again. Gathering in a survival game is something you will do repeatedly, and we want it to at least feel interesting. Maybe different trees have different mechanics later, and we already have a lot of ideas for that, and I hope that in the, I cannot announce when we're going to do that yet, but in the player alpha that we will do exclusively with people from this Discord and some others, some family and friends, you will already see some of those mini games in place where you can, or that's what I call these, like these gathering mini games. So, but I hope I'm not getting too confusing. It is sometimes really hard because I'm not sure what you guys already know, what you don't know. So let's get into my favorite part, building. Let's imagine I gathered all the stuff. Also, I'm going to activate a little cheat because I don't want to pay the resource cost for gathering. There already is resource cost. And I have gathered everything. I want to build a little house. Let's start by opening our building menu. You will see that in a classical fashion, there is some building elements. Foundations, walls, everything. What I can do now is I can place down a foundation. I can rotate it. And let's just say I want to build next to the river. Then, by pressing middle mouse button, I can just copy that piece. It will have the perfect alignment of that piece. I can already snap it to other pieces, half snap it by looking at the corner of that piece, super easy. If I don't want to snap it, I can press the shift button and it is, and it is unsnapped. So I can basically put it down on the normal grid in this case, or even place it in a way that it doesn't snap to the other pieces. So I can like even place it so that it's like little away from it and then cover this with something, whatever, and easily delete it. Let's just throw down something so that we can actually start building something that looks a little more fun. So this is important on a multiplayer basis. What you see right now is what we call blueprints. These blueprints, I can bring them into existence by pressing E. This will make me pay the resource cost and it's there. Any player can do this. And let's say you are in a community with certain players or in a group, you can allow them to finish your pieces or add blueprints to your blueprint ideas. So I can say, hey, I want to bring all these into existence. Or I can say, I don't have the resources, and my friend isn't online or might be in the forest gathering. I'll already put this down. When he or her comes online later, they can finish this off. No problem. So next step would be adding walls. I can rotate these walls. Like in any way possible, I can do the same in this. Like I can rotate them like this. As you see, I can even like angle them and everything. I can decide, hey, I want a wall here. If I copy that piece, the perfect right, like same angle will be used. But let's get rid of those for now. Choose a real one. And I can also, by pressing Shift, rotating the mouse wheel, change the looks of that. This is the same piece with different looks. I'll actually put those down in a moment so that you see them. So 3 different kinds of walls, and we already put a simple skinning system into the game where I can change the color of those pieces. But let's just say, I like, which one we go for? I think in the corner, this is actually a pretty good choice. So let's get rid of this one, copy this one. Easy, let's go with the, oh, I actually deleted it accidentally, but zack. Here, maybe I rather want a window. Of course, also those should be the same color as the rest of the building. Maybe we actually put that piece down and I can continue building something. I'll do my best to throw down a little house real quick while you can watch. Let's say we want a little balcony here so we can actually add a door. Actually, I really like the more brown wood style. And then we could put down a second door here. Later do a little, no problem at all. We can already add some stairs, which we can also, of course, rotate. They already snap to things. And there is a lot of questions on this building system I've seen. So let's do something more creative. Maybe we can copy this one, this one, this one. And you can even say, maybe I want to do something that's a little different. And you can, for example, turn this piece, which is something that we do quite regularly in our game tests, perfectly put it here. Then turn it around another one. Actually, maybe we can. Oh, I've actually never done this. Maybe that's cool. Then we could take these beams, which is one of my favorite pieces because you can basically tie things together that don't look as if they belong together. And we could do something like this and just say, hey, here's just a different kind of window. And we maybe want to put another beam down that actually ties these together. Maybe like here. Then let's put one here. Perfect. Of course, I can even, like, if I don't like that there's a little gap down there, I can actually cover that up. Do something like this. Also, I'm building in a very early system, which is right now completely off grid, but cool. Basically, we designed our own window. Let's cover this piece up. No problem at all. Perfect. I like it. Okay. Let's add another layer of walls because actually usually during play sessions or presentations, I have the luxury that my co-founder Rene basically comes here and just finishes my buildings so that I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, also I think you've seen this system quite a bit. I'll only just go here now and throw down a roof so that we can actually have something that we protect because then we're going to walk over to Piper's Whistle. And while we do that, I'll explain to you why building and the idea of building is so important. Because if you haven't heard, there is no PvP in this survival game. This might surprise some of you, as a lot of survival games heavily rely on PvP. And we don't think it adds as much to games as some studios or some developers think. And we actually think that it is, for us, a better decision. And I will explain the town system, which is incredibly important to understand that we are aware that we're changing a big thing of this, like the general idea of a survival game by taking things away. But we think we found a really cool solution to it. Because let's just do this. Then add a little balcony here. And I think that is good enough for now so that we can actually feel like, hey, we built something that is worth protecting later. Okay, let's just live with this. Actually pretty nice. We've done quite good. If you are interested in more, like seeing more of the building system, be aware there is a million videos where I build things already. And there is a lot of things that show what you can actually do by like turning pieces around, how easy it is to actually do things like this. We can throw it down there. We can add a little step here. Maybe we load down like this. No problem at all. It's super fast. But finally getting back to the explanation of what is an important part of this whole idea of the game. Let's say this building, I just threw it down. I gathered my resources. This would have taken me a lot longer, obviously. I completely skipped, like you will already see there's recipes for everything, all the building pieces. I would have needed 6 wood for every wooden wall. The wooden ceilings take me 6 wood. The gables already take me timber, which is even more resources. The roofs and some of these pieces even take other resources. But let's say I threw down a little base. I actually need to throw down a little fence around it, because that will become important in a moment. Let's just do this for now. And then in the next step, like this would deteriorate. The environment would destroy it. Over time, it would, if I don't repair it, just basically vanish from the map, which is of course like 2 purposes. Number 1, it's a good motivator for you to keep going on your map. Number 2, of course, it clears the map of dead structures that people don't use anymore. But let's say I want to progress this. I want to maybe make it stone. Maybe I decide that it would actually be nice to be able to craft better resources. I could put down chests, of course, and maybe I want to put down a crafting station. To cast iron, maybe make a furnace. For that, I would need a town. A town is a term for a settlement, any structure that you build that you then make officially into a town. This word I will use for the town system, which means, let's just say I make this, or want to transfer this into a town level 1. For that, there's certain requirements. I need, for example, a crafting station level 1, I need a certain amount of resources, and I need a town license. That town license we will get from Coreheim, where I'll walk in a moment. And while I walk there, I'll explain to you what towns are a little further. So, towns are our idea of content progression. They are super closely tied in with the whole idea of this game. So basically, let's say you want to craft an iron weapon. You need anything to craft with iron ingot, you need a smelter, maybe a smithy. You can only build that in a town. You are not able to put that down unless you made a town. And a town always has a town center building. In the current alpha, that is represented by a campfire. I think I actually have that recipe, but I only have that because I've played on this server before. I need a license from Coreheim to do that. So basically, that campfire will then, as soon as I put it down, make my little settlement into a town. Let's walk on the water here. Also, there's a cute Toriva over there. Let's not fight it for now, because they are pretty hard to fight, and I only have my wooden sword, which is quite weak against them. So, once I once I say this is a town though, my town will be attacked constantly by NPC. These NPC spawn from time to time and try to destroy what I've built. They are the enemies of this world. This world is under attack by Sorgoth, an outer-worldly being, Sorgoth the Devourer. If you're interested in the lore, I will not go into that too much today, because we've done some videos on that, and please feel free to ask questions on the Discord. So Gothkin, the minions of Sorgoth, will attack your town. Also other evil forces on this map, bandits or whatever. And you now have to make your town stronger. And again, as in a survival game, I tell you what's happening, I don't tell you how to do it. You can do that by, for example, saying, I just build more structures, or you build better structures, or you train fighting, or maybe you get friends to join your town and actually help you fight it. So, but these attacks will happen, like for example, it will say in the next 24 hours, there's an attack. It is now your decision to say, actually, I want to fight that right now. I have time right now, I want to fight these enemies now, or so that I have my peace for the next 24 hours. Later it might be 2 days, 3 days, whatever. You can say I want to pay a certain amount of resource or a specific resource to not play that attack, which is just another way to solve it. So you go out there, you gather all the stuff, and then you finally basically pay the cost so that this attack is delayed or doesn't happen. Or you can interact with your environment. And now comes a very important part of the town system and our map in general. This map is handcrafted. It is not a procedural map. This is not random. You on your server with your 20 friends or 20 other people playing here are playing on the same map. You see the same structures. Other people will have the same map with 20 different people, 20 different structures, and a different way to form this environment. You can at some point visit their maps, you can interact with them, and they can do the same on your map, but your map is persistent, but it is not procedural. The purpose of that is that we want certain points on this map to be changeable. And this is where the idea of some survival games you might have played before changes. we want to throw content in. From time to time, even change that content on a season system. So let's just say every week or every 2 weeks. Let's say 1 week, solely for an example purpose. I know this is a very short number, but every week there's new content on your map. For example, this town, Piper's Whistle. You've seen the windmill, we'll actually visit it in a moment. Let's say this town is this week under attack by bandits. And I'll explain first how it's tied in with it, or I'll explain in a moment how it's tied in with the town system. Let's say this town is under attack by bandits, and you can go here and fight these bandits. Kind of like quests, but there is no quest log. There is no one telling you have to do this to do this. You can go here and kill bandits. That will give you some form of reward, and it's social. And you can see this town is actually right now, as for testing, has some vendors and everything. You can do some trading. Let's say while the bandits attack, that's not happening. There is no traders here. They're all scared. All the townspeople, they are scared of these bandits. So you come here and fight these bandits. And the town is then freed and is accessible again. And that is a social event. That's why we generally call them social events. Events in our game describe this. Events like these ideas of points of interest on the survival map where you can go and participate in something that is narrative but also gameplay-wise relevant. So basically you go here and other players can come too and you fight these bandits together. And once you've killed the bandits, the town is freed, all the vendors return, you can trade again. The tie-in though with your system of the town is, let's say your town attack says this town attack is gonna happen in 24 hours and bandits are gonna be part of that town attack. If you want to weaken this town attack, how about you go to Piper's Whistle, not telling you where Piper's Whistle is necessarily if you haven't found it. It just gives you an idea of how about you find Piper's Whistle. Maybe it gives you a hint of Piper's Whistle is close to the Ultracore beam or whatever. And then you go there, fight these bandits, and then your town attack is 20% weaker, or there is no bandits in your town attack, there's only Gothkin, or the bandits have a certain downgrade, or something like that. It could also be another event where it says, how about you help the Molians in their caves, and if you do so, they will actually help you in your town attack and actually defend your town with you. All these are possible outcomes. I'll get back to that in a moment because it also ties in with the social hub, but let's just for a moment pay attention to how pretty this town already is, because I think I haven't done that enough. We've recently started set dressing this, you've noticed that all the hedonists here look the same, all placeholders, of course, there's an alpha, but the houses are already super pretty. All of them have the same layout almost for now, but that is also placeholder. We actually have a system where they are generated. You might have seen, of course, the windmill, super pretty, really great asset. It's fully moving. We can actually walk in and you can even hear the gears going in there. This will be in that event that I just described, for example, the headquarter of the bandits. They are occupying this. And let me know if you are interested in a video only on the visuals. We can gladly get our 3D artists on videos. Also, if you want a dedicated video on any of the systems I described. This might be a little loud. Let me tune it down a tiny bit so that you understand me better. So imagine that, let's say if you want a video on, for example, events, the town system, dedicated videos where I explain only that, I'll gladly do that, but we'll also come to that in a moment in this video. Also, I noticed we're already at 30 minutes, so I need to rush a little bit. Even though Chris maybe likes the fact that I'm going overtime with this. Also, generally I have 30 to 45 minutes, but with you guys I want to take more time. Look down. You can actually see almost all the current survival map already. We could go to all the places you are seeing here, with the exception of the absolute peak of those mountains over there. Super cool. You cannot see the ocean even. This map is even bigger. Damn. That's the hills over there, back there in the distance. Super cool. Okay, let me get away from the windmill. So basically, the whole event system ties in with your town, and that is why these locations are handcrafted. Oh, fuck. I forgot that fall damage is in the game. Ooh, do I have enough food? Not really. And I don't have Renee helping me to fight later. So, also, you can go trade here. You can find specific recipes here, interacting with events or with your environment. There is a normal discovery factor in it. And as I said, every week we are free to change these because all the maps are the same and they are not procedural. We could say that next week this town is on fire or it has been attacked. We can say that this town now has started settling something else, or they are trying to set up a tavern like the grey boxed building here, and you have to help by bringing in resources. We don't run into the same problem that, for example, MMOs have, where it's like every content upgrade has to be a gigantic rollout or something. Every week we can change tiny details because we don't need to change your map. Your base will still be on the same map that feels a lot more alive and that is influenced by your actions and the actions of the people around you. And I'll go into the people around you in a moment because that's the portal to Coreheim. And this is the magical moment where this game will most likely crash, and only I caused this crash. We have no idea what causes it. My system is like, we have looked into everything. Let's see if it happens. Oh, and it didn't happen. I cannot reproduce this. I don't understand this crash, but let's just be happy it didn't happen. Because that makes you hear, wait, let me turn up the volume a little because the music is amazing. So, where we are now is completely different. As I explained in the beginning, we do 3 pillars of our main gameplay. That is survival. Everything you've seen so far is on the survival map. And then there's the social map, the second one. This is where we are now. The social hub of Coreheim. The main capital of our map, the center of everything that will be there. Because the first part of our survival map is Ambros, one pizza slice basically, because Coreheim is in the center and all the maps go around it. We will expand those over time, so there is content updates for that coming basically. Same can happen in Coreheim though. This is where you will meet other players. You and your 200/20 live players on your survival map are on the same survival map, but here you can meet players from every other potential survival map, of every different progression, from different parts of the game, and you can interact with them, play mini games. For example, if you want to go on an adventure, this is where you have to come to actually do that, so you'll meet players here. If you have played Dauntless, for example, there's Ramsgate, the main hub for activities. And in our case, there's also social things happening. This is where you would, for example, go to something like an auction house. We're not planning to make like a normal type auction house, but something like that, player trade. This is where you can play mini games, like maybe something like a simple tic-tac-toe, like or rock, paper, scissors, something like maybe even a hide and seek, things like that. This is also where you go to interact with other players when it comes to group finding. And this is where all the nations of this world come together. So you see the Toraiva here, there's already placeholders for different districts, the Children of the Source and their main Wind Dagger back there. You can already see, I think we can see it at the peak, but you can see it in a moment. The cathedral, and of course you see the Ultracore. This is where the main structure is. This is where you go to interact with all the different nations, with the lore of this game. Like, this is where it narrates itself to. And imagine there's people from all the different maps and nations running around. That's the Nosmerian, I think it's the, what was the name in English again? I'll remember in a second. Actually, we can go there real quick. I don't think I ran at any point in this. Oh, this is Juristograph. People who watch the pen and paper remember the one from the very first interaction they had was a Juristograph, kind of like a robot built by Nosmerians. Let's actually go here real quick. I think it just says to the Nosmerian Quarter, right? It's the Council of something. Okay, I'll remember later what that one is called again. But imagine you go up. Oh, I'm distracted all the time because that's where the Sauromancers will be, like flying in with dinosaurs from the lithical plains. There's also placeholders for dinosaurs. We'll actually see a dinosaur in a moment because we already have one on this map. So, important. This is where you meet other players, and a lot of people have asked about monetization. We monetize on cosmetics, and this is important to us. And it's super obvious you're not idiots. Of course, we want you to see other players where you can not only show off the gear that you gathered on the survival map, in adventures and everywhere, but also potentially the cool skins you bought. If you want to do that, great for us. It makes us able to sustain this game. If you don't, no problem. We don't want to make pay-to-win content, but we think that free-to-play is the best model for us, as it invites a lot of players into a game that is incredibly social. And how social it is, I'll explain once we return to the survival map. Also, there's a Toraiva again, but let's look at dinosaurs. Because with the town system, you might have realized this is all very much catered towards interacting with other players. And the idea of going here and playing it with others is super important to us. Now, let's look at the holotops. This is one of the dinosaurs that's already in game. We are currently animating that one. Maybe Chris, or like our marketing Chris, is able to share some of that after this, where it already walks and does some attack motions and things like that. Super cool. Yeah, this is the marketplace. You might have noticed that the marketplace theme started playing a different music in the background. This is a Molian. They already just appeared in like the Pen and Paper show, which is only in German, but we're working on subtitles. Not promising too much, soon TM. If you walk around here, you'll notice there's market stands. This will be a tavern at some point, this building, currently placeholder. There's little back alleys, like here you can go into kind of like the black market of the town. There's a harbor going on. Super cool city. This is where we'll bring together the whole feel of the world of Ultracore. It's over the top. It combines medieval fantasy with steampunk-like structures. The Ultracore, basically the best structure combining that, where there's magic from the Aquanopticum in there, but also lava flowing out of it. To the left is like electricity buzzing. And yeah. But what we are doing here is, and I'll actually do that because I don't want to go hardcore over time, we want to get a town license. This little gibbling as a placeholder, and yeah, gibblings are already in the game visually. Will give me, it says give me 2 wood. Of course, placeholder, because what he actually does is give me a campfire license. And let's run back to the map. So, to summarize again what this part is. This is where you meet other players, you can form groups with them, go on adventures, and I'll finally explain what adventures are while we run back to our base. Adventures are instanced fun experiences. They can be dungeons, for example. It can be something like Diablo. You go into a procedural dungeon or a handcrafted dungeon, you fight monsters, you get loot, form a group that is perfectly set up for that. They can be something like a horde mode adventure, which is something we're currently working on, where you come onto a map, gather resources, and endless waves of enemies spawn, and you have to see how long can you hold out, or can you hold on out until the wave that is the determined end of this adventure. They could be a racing game, they could be card games, they could be jump and run puzzles, they could be anything you can imagine. And of course, at some point, we want them to be user generated. We want you to be able to make these adventures yourself, to come up with a cool idea for a tower defense map, maybe. Oh, like, never happened before, huh? And that is the idea for those. And adventures will give you loot that you then need in other parts. Let's say I go to an adventure, and that is where I find a specific resource that I then need to make a town level 4. I will not, like, we will never force you to do them, but we will, again, hand you a problem, get this resource. How you do it is up to you. If you want to go to Coreheim and trade it, if you want to form a group to get it, or if you want to find a way around that mechanic to potentially get it on the survival map. Actually porting back. Now we should spawn pretty close to the little base we set up, because we haven't done the spawn. Ah, there it is. Perfect. And let me use that campfire license, so I'm actually able to set one up. And I hope you understand adventures. I think we need to do a dedicated thing on that idea, because as I said, adventures are instance. They happen on a completely separate map. For example, the first idea of the first horde mode adventures, you go outside of the shield to fight Gothkin there, regather resources for the survival map. Oh my god, a gigantic hornet just flew by my window. Damn. So basically, you go outside of the shield with 4 to 6 players, for example. You decide how hard you want them to be, and then you fight waves of enemies. You bring resources back to your survival map, and then you can trade them on the social hub, where you also found players to go on these adventures. And with the gear that you're now able to craft, because you've been better at it, you found better things to craft gear on an adventure, you can then go on harder adventures, find better resources, and continue the loop. And also, and this is where it becomes a little nitty-gritty. Let's say your town attack is going to happen, and we actually put down a campfire right now, because then town attacks will start happening. Your town attack is happening, and it says, how about you go to the caves of the Molians and fight the Molian Lord, so it does not participate in this attack. Let's put it here and turn it on. So 2-minute timer, which is for alpha purposes. In 2 minutes, an attack will actually happen. I hope the enemies are actually attacking as intended. We've actually fixed that on the internal build, but let's see. So, again, this is now a town. I would now be able to set up crafting stations. We haven't done them in the game yet, but let's say I am now able to set up a furnace, everything, but there's now also a risk. Basically, my enemies have now put me on their map. They don't want me to regather. They don't want me to re-establish the world as it was or a new order. They want to be the lords of this new world. And so they don't like the fact that we're setting up towns. And everyone could set up a town. I'll explain a little bit about that in a moment. And so they start attacking, and I could have maybe done an event so the attack is less heavy. I could have paid resources. Maybe in an adventure I found a red crystal, and I put that red crystal in the campfire, and then this campfire flame turns red, and red smoke goes up to the sky, which means the attack will happen immediately, but it might be a little stronger, more loot for me maybe. But everyone on the survival map could see that smoke now and could run towards my map to help me in that town attack, because they can fight these monsters with me if I allow them to. And then, of course, we can do it together, and we have the loot together. We can maybe form alliances where we help each other with attacks, and we all focus on specific parts because, and that's something that I'll do after that attack or explain too, because there is some specification to how many towns can I have. Is it important where I set up my town? And actually, let me set up more fences, because these little monsters, they hit hard. Oh, actually, I have to turn on the cheat again because I don't have enough resources. Oh, and I haven't recovered. Oh, I recovered enough health. Good. Let me set up some of them because, as I said, oh, I forgot to. Because they, 6 seconds. Let me get my sword. Because I know the first wave is 3 enemies and they destroy my structures fast. Okay, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Usually they spawn somewhere where I can't find them immediately, and then they run up from the side. Oh, there's one. Okay, it doesn't attack yet. As I said, sometimes I'm actually lucky and they don't spawn the way they should and immediately attack me and don't destroy anything. Oh, there's one. Let's get this one. Oh, let's get this one going. I have to be a little careful because sometimes, they sneak up from, like this guy. And immediately run into the structure and destroy things that I don't want them to destroy. Actually, I'll let him destroy it a little bit just so that you see what's happening here. Like, they destroy in the alpha super fast. Of course, in the later game, we will have control mechanisms. We don't want them to just come in and destroy everything you build. But we want it to be at least punishing. We want it to feel like, hey, if I don't fight these guys, they come in and they take something from me. And I have to do progress to actually be able to fight them. And actually, the other two are not attacking. So let's just call it lucky for now and continue explaining what this system is. So, let's say I defended this attack. You already see the next attack is going to happen later, but it's also going to be a lot stronger. And over time, these attacks will go stronger. They will continuously be a motor for your progress. They will encourage you to build a better base, to get better at fighting, to get better gear, or maybe get people involved. Town level 2 does not yet involve people, but let's say at town level 4 or 5, you actually need a second person to join. That doesn't mean that that person has to live with you, share all your resources, have access to everything you do. They can also set up a separate house. You can have a completely normal system where you set up certain rights for each other, or where you have a system where it says, hey, you can build here, I can build there. You can maybe have jobs where you say you are the builder of this town, and things that, like the blueprints that I set up, need less resources to be finished. Someone is the fighter of the town, so he does more damage, everywhere on the survival map. So towns have much more purpose than they seem in the beginning. And also stressing again, the town loop is tied in with everything. It is your progression. You want to build your place prettier because you want to build stone. You need to make your town bigger. You may need to make your town bigger. I will actually run now somewhere because I want to explain the idea. I will leave this alone, and when we maybe come back, we can actually look at it, how destroyed it is by the endless waves that spawned. So, we're gonna go to the mountains now, because people will now ask, but what if I joined a town and it's become big enough, there is no more players, or there is no more this, there is no more that. You can join several towns. You can even set up several towns. You just have to sustain them all. And as you notice, they need a certain amount of resources, or maybe we can actually follow the path. They need a certain amount of resources and activity. So maybe there's towns where you are super active. You are the mayor of that town. You run it, you are super involved in the whole management of the town. And in other towns, you're merely a guest. You rent a space, basically, just so that you have access to some of the resources and help them reach the player number that they need. And there could be a town, for example, in the forests. this town that we just set up has very easy access to the resources of fields and forests. But let's say we need a lot of ore, because as you saw, there is already like copper great swords and everything in the game. And let's say we want to find a lot of that copper and stone. That is usually in the mountains. And the mountains biome is very harsh. The enemies will be a lot stronger. It's constantly cold. You need resources to sustain it. So to be able to set up something in the mountains, you need a lot of wood, which is easy to gather for forest biome towns. So the forest biome town might make a trade deal with a town in the mountains, or you set up one yourself and just say, I only progress this town until level 1 and constantly delay the attacks here, and my main town basically helps to sustain that. And the mountains then provide ore and stone for you. So the map should feel alive. What we're trying to achieve by this is player-generated content on a level that is content to you. In a PvP game, you walk around, you see another player, and they fight you. They want to take your stuff, or you want to take their stuff. That's cool. That is content. And we want it the same, but in a less destructive way. If you meet other players on your map, it is always something that's cool. You know that these players have a home. You know that their home might have something that you don't have. You might join forces with them. You might, on the survival map, interact with them, or even go on adventures with them. Maybe their town is under constant attacks from other town attacks level 5, 6, 7. Because at later stages, and now it gets very theoretical, but again, town attacks might have generals. And let's say a general, for example, is a very big, like, bandit lord. And that bandit lord needs to be killed. And you alone can't do it because you don't have the power or the resources. So why not join another town that also needs to fight that bandit lord, and you do it together? And if you fought him, extra loot, and also that attack is not happening or is a lot weaker, super cool. So this progression makes a lot of sense. Oh, actually, it's getting night, which makes it even prettier in the mountains. Because you might have noticed that the atmosphere changed very much. If I walk in the snow, you even hear my footsteps. Very quiet, but I hope you can still hear. Actually, turn up the volume a little bit, just a second. Super cool already. You hear the snow falling, you hear the wind. I really love this biome. Also, I think at one time I set up like a hot spring here. You actually see that in one of the videos that Chris took. Maybe he'll release that quite soon so you can see it. Oh, there's the house I built yesterday. I actually built this yesterday during a presentation. We can visit it right now. And that already is a cool hint. I actually didn't plan this, but you walk around, you find things. Oh, it's so dark right now. We have to wait for the day. But the day will be quite heavy, quite fast. Oh, look at the beam over there. So cool. And you see, this already feels different, completely different trees, a lot less wood available. We've placed a lot of ore here. There might be caves and things like that. And setting up houses here just feels completely different. I think I actually skinned these like a dark brown. I can do that. I can hop. Oh, hop. Oh, wrong piece. Hop. No, I deleted it. Coming here just to destroy someone else's home. Actually, this would be a cool place for a balcony. But whatever. And I think that is coming to the end of this presentation. I'll just set up a little balcony here that we can watch the Ultracore from. Because I think this is the interview of the state of the current game. I'll sum up a little bit what you saw today. You saw the survival. Survival is a classical survival game. You gather things, your environment tries to kill you, monsters attack you, more monsters, the weather destroys your things. You explore the map. There's different biomes. We haven't even seen the moss seas today. We haven't been to the hills. There is so much to explore. And this map will over time expand. We will add, for example, the Liquid Meadows after a while, which is a water-based zone. Then Esgiliath, which is like a snowy, muddy, moist zone where the vampires live. And that will happen. Then there's Coreheim, where you meet players from all other maps. You can interact with them, form friendships, visit their maps, help them in events, for example, and maybe help them in town attacks, or even join their towns on their survival servers with your same character. And then there is Adventures. Adventures is a dedicated instanced experience, a horde mode, a dungeon, a racing game, a mini game of some sort. Something that is fun, provides loot, that helps you expand in the other sectors of the game. Oh, I should maybe turn down the volume while I do this little summary speech. And I hope that you got an understanding of what we're trying to create here. We did some decisions that are completely different from normal survival games. We borrowed elements from games like Dauntless or just MMOs even. We did survival game elements. We did some of dungeon crawlers and things like that. And we think the idea is super cool, but we need your feedback. And that is why we're preparing this alpha so early, why we're sharing so early what the idea is, what the already existing stuff is that we came up with. And I'll actually press the teleport button to see if either it crashes or we're going to see the next town attack happening where they destroyed my base. And I'm super excited to hear feedback on this. This turned out a lot longer than I thought because we're already over 50 minutes, almost an hour of presentation. Oh, there's Teriva. Maybe I'll actually fight one of them and we'll see. Oh, we've been lucky. That one seemingly only destroyed a little bit of our base and then it stopped. Oh yeah, and at some point they would, of course, attack the town, like the campfire, which is just the general structure. And maybe, as a last, that campfire is, and this is the main part of this game, a very social thing. Our idea for this game is social. We do not only say that and then that is what it is. We need you as people who give feedback, or people who bring life into this world, basically. Maybe I'll let it hit me once so that you see that it actually does damage. I'm just really good at fighting already. Oh, actually. We have so many ideas, but so many of these are theoretical. Oh, I actually died. Oh, no. After saying I'm so good. Of course. So, there is so much more to come. There is so many more ideas. There is so much to test about this concept. But everything about it is social, which doesn't mean you have to always play with others, constantly be their best friend and be on voice 24/7. You can completely exist in symbiosis with other towns, or have people just join your town for the purpose of just being able to use the same resources, share some of the resources, or just expanding past a certain point. But it is a lot more fun once you understand that fighting together is more fun in this, building together is more fun in this, gathering together is more fun, and we want your server to feel like a home. We want you to love your little base that you set up. I actually even like that little base I just set up, and it's sad when it's destroyed. And that is why building is so important to us, and we would love to hear your feedback. Thanks for paying attention for almost 55 minutes while I explain something that is still so theoretical, but I hope that you're as excited as I am. I think this is incredible progress for 5 months. I'm super proud of this team. I cannot stress enough how great this team is and how great this community already is. How much I am surprised how very, very wonderfully fun it is to be able to share things this early. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.
I'll let you take a sip and then we'll come back.
I made this glass.
Did you?
Good, right? I made it.
Well, but we're back now. Look at that. Hauke made a glass. You didn't know that.
I blew into it until it became a glass.
Magic. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that gameplay, and I hope you enjoyed the revelation that Hauke is a glass maker. Exclusive. Exclusive to the Discord. So, I want to say thank you all so much, our founders, for being here, for answering all these questions, and for having so much stuff that we had to reveal today. Like, this has been really cool. I hope everyone in the community has enjoyed it. I also wanted to offer a huge thank you to the entire team, as I said earlier, who have been working insanely hard to get all of this game together. Like, I know in a video that will be coming out soon, me and Hauke are talking about, like, we've been working on this building system, and then I was suddenly like, it's not us, really, is it? I was like, me and you haven't really done this.
I even say that in that video. In that video, I say, I did not do shit.
Yeah, it's like, it weren't me. Like, I just let people know it's happening. So to all of the team, thank you so much. The work you've done is amazing. For me personally, being a part of Blank Hands has been, like I said, an extremely fulfilling thing. And we're hoping that continues into the future with more and more. Because, as I said, this is only the beginning. This is the start. Because I can tell you that next year we are looking to have a Friends and Family Alpha. People have been asking for Alpha for ages, and Friends and Family. But you know who are our Friends and Family? All of you on the Discord. Because yes, you will be involved in that Alpha. Because getting community feedback is going to be a huge part of this game. So if you're here, you're in it. We'll have dates and more information down the line, but you're in it. So yeah, it's like what Pirates of the Caribbean when he's like, you're in one. It's that. If you're looking for an alpha, you're in one. So get ready for that. So happens when I go off script, I just start adding fun things. And as a bonus to anyone in the Discord right now, he says, moving along rapidly. If you're in the Discord right now, you have been given a super secret role. You can't really see it, but you've got a little tag, and that will get you something special in the future. We'll have more information on that down the line, but just know, for being here today, you're getting some cool stuff. Stick around here on the Discord because we're going to have more of these Q&As happening every month. All the exclusive screenshots, all the exclusive videos you've come to expect. We're going to be hanging out, answering questions, having good times. We want to play games and stuff with you guys, so we're going to get to that as well. We cannot wait to welcome you to the world of Coreborn, Nations of the Ultracore. And gentlemen, do you have anything to say before we head off to the people? I've put you on the spot on that one. I just said I was saying goodbye. Now I'm like, say something. Do you have anything to say to the people before we head off?
And maybe one thing, I quickly go ahead. Yeah, thank you also, Chris, for handling our community and our names. And it was from the beginning super important for us to work together with our community on creating this. We really wanted you to be involved very early. It's not very usual that early you have already loads of communications. We've shown our prototypes. We have shown our current alpha that we've created. And I think it's really important for us to have you all being involved. And Chris is for us basically the one that brings our ideas to you and your ideas to us, and therefore thank you so much, Chris, for making this happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, being such a cool person within our team.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Renee?
I would like to add to that. So first of all, thanks for having us today and guiding us through the session. And also it's always a pleasure seeing you to interact with our family, our community, even trying to learn German.
Trying.
I really appreciate it, and it's really awesome to see what the community does on our Discord. It's really inspiring every day. I really enjoy reading it. So it's really cool. It's really great. And also from my side, big shout out to our team. So it's really great to have this team. It was really fun, and it's really cool team.
I can also only thank you again, and maybe add a big thank you to the community also for being so kind. I think it is already a lot bigger than I would have thought. As Marcus already said, it's very early to have so many people being around, but also it is incredibly nice to be on our servers, to interact with the community. I actually, like, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing is, I read our Discord, and then I read our Slack, which is an internal tool for people not in media. And so I really, really enjoy that. I really like getting that feedback. And I like that the questions are already so specific about things, and that there's so much expectation, but there's still so much room for us to actually say, this is maybe expecting too much. This is what actually is there. And there's never any animosity as a reaction to that. There's always kindness and good words and excitement, and I love sharing that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a pleasure to work with you all. And yeah, thank you very much for watching this today. We will be back. Like I said, we're going to have these sorts of Q&As every month. So speak to you all very soon. I'm speaking. If you're watching this on Discord, I'm speaking to you right now. Like, that's it's like we're already talking. Like,
Get him.
Yeah, it's like it's me. But yeah, take care, everybody. We will see you all soon. As I said, we can't wait to welcome you into the world of Coreborn. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.